Leaked BBC meeting clip raises eyebrows over coverage of Tommy Robinson and media neutrality. A recently leaked internal clip from a BBC editorial meeting is drawing national attention after it surfaced online, showing producers and editors discussing how to approach coverage of controversial public figures with particular reference to Tommy Robinson, the British political activist and former founder of the English Defence League. Though no explicit bias was revealed in the clip, the discussion has raised broader questions about how public broadcasters shape narratives, especially when dealing with divisive personalities. The BBC has yet to release a formal statement on the clip, but the footage has already reignited debates over media transparency and trust. The video, reportedly taken during a virtual editorial planning session, features several BBC staff members speaking candidly about the challenges of covering figures like Tommy Robinson. One editor, whose identity remains unconfirmed, states, "We have to be cautious not to platform narratives that fuel division." Another adds, "We've made it clear that stories involving Robinson need rigorous framing to avoid amplifying harmful ideologies." While supporters of Robinson see these comments as a sign of bias, media professionals argue this reflects responsible editorial oversight, not censorship. Still, the tone and direction of the conversation have caused many to question whether public-funded media is fulfilling its duty to inform, not influence. Tommy Robinson responded swiftly in a social media post, saying, "This just proves what we've known all along. They're not reporting the news, they're deciding how to spin it." His statement was shared widely by supporters, many of whom expressed frustration over what they see as systematic exclusion from fair coverage. Robinson has long claimed that major media outlets unfairly portray him and suppress viewpoints that challenge the status quo. While critics argue that his rhetoric has been inflammatory and linked to far-right movements, his followers maintain that he raises valid concerns about immigration, free speech, and political transparency. This latest clip has once again placed him at the center of Britain's media freedom debate. Public opinion on the leaked clip has been divided. On one side, viewers say the BBC is failing to meet its obligation to neutrality, particularly concerning figures like Robinson, who, while controversial, remain influential to many British citizens. On the other hand, media watchdogs argue that Robinson's history and the sensitive nature of his public profile demand a high degree of editorial caution. "There is a line between free speech and public harm," said one media analyst. "Responsible outlets must walk that line carefully, especially when dealing with figures whose past actions have been associated with unrest." Others noted that the real issue isn't whether Tommy Robinson should be covered, but how. Should he be given airtime without pushback? Or does selective framing cross into dangerous territory? The clip highlights a growing challenge for journalists in the digital era, balancing open access to information with editorial responsibility. For public broadcasters like the BBC, the pressure is even greater due to their taxpayer-funded nature. For some viewers, this leak has deepened distrust in legacy media. "They're supposed to give us the facts and let us decide," one online commenter wrote. "Instead, they're deciding for us what's acceptable to hear." Others defend the BBC's process, noting that all major outlets hold internal discussions to ensure accuracy, tone, and social responsibility. "News isn't raw data," said a former editor. "It's filtered, cross-checked, and ethically reviewed. That's part of journalism." Still, the inclusion of Tommy Robinson in this internal meeting is a lightning rod. His name alone evokes strong reactions, making this leak more than just a behind-the-scenes glimpse. It has become a litmus test for media bias and public trust. Following the leak, several independent MPs and media transparency advocates have called for the BBC to publish a clearer editorial policy, especially around coverage of political figures who generate controversy. Some are also suggesting that public broadcasters establish independent review panels to monitor whether internal practices align with their stated commitments to impartiality. So far, the BBC has remained relatively quiet on the matter, with only a brief note saying, "We continuously review our editorial standards to ensure they meet the expectations of our audiences." Whether that will be enough to calm public concern remains to be seen. This story is not just about Tommy Robinson. It's about the larger question of how media, especially public-funded outlets, shape the conversation in society. When behind-the-scenes editorial decisions surface, they give the public a rare glimpse into a process that is usually hidden. And sometimes, that glimpse leads to uncomfortable but necessary conversations. What do you think? Should broadcasters like the BBC be more transparent in how they decide to cover controversial figures? Or is editorial discretion essential in protecting public discourse? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you value open discussion and balanced political news, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on stories that matter. Let's keep the conversation going thoughtfully.